Minnesota. It's sunrise. Today's podcast video covers how I am building Viking shroud needles for my boat. On a sailboat, shrouds are the fixed rigging lines that hold the mast in position from side to side. They connect at the top of the mast and terminate at the hull on both sides of the boat. Shroud needles are simple. They're handy carved pieces of wood that Vikings tied to the lower end of the boat's shroud lines. They're medieval cam action line tightening carabiners, if you will. Let me show you how they work. You insert the needle end of the shroud needle through a loop of rope that's fastened to the hull. And then you pull upwards on the needle end like it's a handle. And the cam action against the rope loop pulls the shroud taut and into position. And then finally, you pull down a leather collar over the top of the needle to secure it pointing up next to the shroud. Gravity keeps the collar in place. The genius of the shroud needle is that shroud tension can be quickly and easily adjusted as the lines age and stretch. If a mast must be removed for a low bridge, a portage, for trailering, or in my boat's case, to mount a battery-powered anchor light at night at the top of the mast, shroud needles make this task quick and easy. Most importantly, shroud needles look super cool, very Norse Viking. I plan to use a polyester tan-colored half-inch line for my shrouds. I'm using a white nylon line today just so the color contrast will show up, but I think they're going to be a really nice addition to the boat. I found the shroud needles to be fairly easy to build. First, I drew out some full-sized front view and side view templates. That's what these are here. And then I milled some suitable pieces of ash wood that I pulled out of my wood pile to the widest front view dimension. That was this here. I picked as wide as that was. That's what I cut them out to be. Then I used the templates of the side view. I laid that onto the piece of wood and I cut it out on the bandsaw. And then I took the front view template and traced that onto the piece that I'd cut out. And then I took that over to my shave horse and I shaved down the dimensions on there so that I could get the needle to the correct needle shape. And this is what you wind up with. You wind up with basically, this is the finished product. The only additional thing I had to do was drill a hole just below the hook area so I could run the shroud line through there. I made the dimension of that hole just slightly larger than my half-inch shroud lines. And then I used a rat tail file to make some grooves on the edges there to kind of guide the lines to go through. And that was it. Not a hard project to develop. I made several of these very quickly. And the cost for the whole project was basically nothing. I had the leather on hand and the thread, and as I said, the wood came right out of my wood pile. So to make the leather collars for the shroud needles, I use a really thick leather. And then I pre-punch holes down the side with a hole punching tool or an awl. And then I use some braided thread. This is really strong stuff. I get this from Tandy Leather. I got it to match the color of the leather. And I stitch it in both ways and tie it off. And when you're done with that, rub in some neat's foot oil to preserve it. And there you have it. This is what it looks like when it's done. I hope you found this information interesting and useful. If you did, please like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And as always, helping hands are welcome around the Hrafn Viking Shipyard. So if you're in the Minnesota area, please stop in. Thank you.